today's episode, the culprits have been identified. The West provoked Russia's war in Ukraine. The goal is to prevent Russia's development. Ukraine is spreading LGBTQ+ propaganda to Ukrainian school children. Propagandists once again exploit the topic of sexual minorities. A demonstrative performance. The arrest of Ukrainian businessman Kolomoisky is a farce by which Zelensky imitates the fight against corruption for the West. Our analytical team at Detector Media is on constant watch, tracking the spread of the boldest fakes from Kremlin propaganda. I'm Vadim Miski, and for the next 10 minutes I'll guide you through the key facts. Let's get started. The West provoked Russia's war in Ukraine. The reason for this is the evil intention of Western countries to obstruct the development of the Russian Federation. This manipulative message has been promoted by Kremlin propagandists. It was voiced by the Russian president himself.
Хотел бы отметить, что вот мы в 2014 году, когда говорили, тогда только наши недоброжелатели делали первые шаги в попытках ограничить наш суверенитет технологический и помешать нашему развитию. И тогда говорили о том, что нужно предпринимать энергичные шаги для того, чтобы обеспечить свой суверенитет технологический. И должен сказать, что, во-первых, наши прогнозы подтвердились. Все, как вот говорили, вот будет вот так все и произошло. Спровоцировали еще этот конфликт на Украине и воспользовались этим. Я думаю, что это вообще целенаправленно все делалось для того, чтобы создать дополнительные условия для ограничения нашего экономического роста и сдерживания.
The propagandists claim that Ukraine's desire to join NATO or the EU is a direct threat to Russia's security. However, Ukraine's membership in any international organization is the choice of its people, not the imposed will of third parties. Russia's aggression only accelerates Ukraine's accession to the alliance.
Russia decided to control neighbors, to try to re-establish sphere of influence, and saying that there was a provocation if a country decided to join NATO. It is not a provocation, it is a democratic sovereign right of every nation to choose its own path. And therefore we had Georgia in 2008, we had Crimea in 2014, and then the full-fledged invasion in 2014. Russia's walked away, and I regret that, but then there is no other option for us than to ensure peace for NATO allies, for EU members, by investing in defense, supporting Ukraine, because if President Putin wins in Ukraine, it's a tragedy for the Ukrainians, but it's also dangerous for us. It sends a message that when they use military force, they get what they want, authoritarian leaders. So it's in our security interest to support Ukraine, and therefore I'm extremely grateful for all the support that EU members, the European Union and NATO allies are providing to Ukraine.
The Russian army was the second in the world, now it is the second in Ukraine. This is how the NATO Secretary General responded to skeptics who consider the Ukrainian offensive too slow. Volodymyr Zelensky decided to shell the town of Konstantinivka to put pressure on Blinken. The US Secretary of State was in Ukraine at that time. This fake was created by Kremlin propagandists. Supposedly, the missile strike was launched by the Ukrainian armed forces against civilians in order to ask for more weapons. As a reminder, on September 6, the Russian military shelled the town of Konstantinivka in the Donetsk region. The missile strike killed 17 people and wounded 33. Volodymyr Zelensky called it another terrorist attack by the Russian Federation.
Щодо чергового російського теракту на Донбасі, в місті Костянтинівка, який відбувся сьогодні, удар просто по ринку, по магазинах, по аптеці. Я просто, хто там був, я був багато разів в Костянтинівці зі своєю командою, і хто знає це місце і прекрасно орієнтується, що це цивільне місце, там немає ніяких військових частин і близько. Удар навмисний, ми розуміємо, що вони роблять, те саме, що і було раніше, коли відбуваються ті чи інші позитивні наступальні кроки українських сил оборони в тому напрямку завжди росіяни б'ють по цивільним людям і цивільним об'єктам.
The White House condemns Russian strikes on Konstantinivka in the Donetsk region. The US will continue to support Ukraine in its fight against Russian aggression.
The United States is committed to empowering Ukraine to write its own future. In the crucible of President Putin's brutal and ongoing war, the United States and Ukraine have forged a partnership that is stronger than ever and growing every day. We will continue to stand by Ukraine's side, and today we're announcing new assistance totaling more than $1 billion in this common effort. That includes $665.5 million in new military and civilian security assistance. In total, we committed over $43 billion in security assistance since the beginning of the Russian aggression. Now, since I was last here almost exactly 1 year ago, Ukrainian forces have taken back more than 50% of the territory seized by Russian forces since February of 2022. In the ongoing counteroffensive, progress has accelerated in the past few weeks. This new assistance will help sustain it and build further momentum.
Now a bit of positive news as far as it is possible during the war. Antony Blinken and Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba snaked on some French fries at McDonald's. The fast food chain reopened in Ukraine a year ago after being closed due to the full-scale Russian invasion. Blinken noted that such chains as McDonald's resumed operations thanks to the efforts of the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry. Propagandists are once again exploiting the topic of sexual minorities. Ukraine is introducing LGBT propaganda to Ukrainian school children. This claim was spread in the Russian segment of Facebook. The messages stated that special LGBT education clubs are supposedly being created in Ukrainian schools. The propagandists attached a screenshot from the website of a lyceum in Ivano-Frankivsk, where they describe the club and cite the benefits of attending it. Stop Fake analysts found out that this was a lie. They contacted the Lyceum's management, who confirmed that the club does not exist. The announcement is photoshopped. However, disinformers present the creation of such a club as something dangerous. However, it is a good practice to teach children about diversity. For example, in September, Ukraine hosted the Kharkiv Pride event. Participants of the gathering installed figures in the colors of the Ukrainian flag and the flag of LGBTQ community. Due to the danger of Russian shelling, the organizers decided not to invite many people. This format, according to the participants of the Pride, fulfills the main goal of demonstrating the strengths of the LGBTQ community.
ЛГБТ плюс спільноті потрібно бути видимим. І вони теж люди, їм теж потрібні права. Тому ми тут для того, щоб показати, що ми є і що ми вільні і рівні.
Meanwhile, in Russia, Roskomnadzor began blocking websites with LGBTQ content. Since the beginning of September, the agency has been accepting complaints from citizens about content that, in the opinion of the authorities, promotes non-traditional relationship, as they say. The arrest of Ukrainian businessman Igor Kolomoisky is a farce by which Volodymyr Zelensky makes a show to the United States and Europe that he is fighting corruption. This is the manipulative claim being promoted by Russian propagandists. Igor Kolomoisky, the former owner of PrivatBank, one of the country's largest financial institutions, has been served with a notice of suspicion. He is accused of misappropriating funds amounting to 9 billion hryvnias, which is more than $240 million. To recap, the National Bank classified PrivatBank as insolvent in 2016. Then the financial institution was taken over by the state for a symbolic 1 hryvnia. Additional capitalization by the state amounted to more than $5.5 billion. Previously, Kolomoisky was suspected of money laundering.
Детективи Національного бюро розслідують цілу низку проваджень щодо діяльності колишніх власників та екс-керівництва Приватбанку, а також пов'язаних з ними компаній. Всі вони стосуються виведення коштів з банку напередодні його націоналізації.
The case was investigated by EU versus Disinfo fact-checkers. The analysts stated that propagandists are trying to discredit anti-corruption measures in Ukraine. After all, the government's response to each of the corrupt officials disproves the Russian propaganda narrative that Ukraine is supposedly one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
Ще одне, про що варто сказати. Безумовно, ми захистимо Україну і повернемо свободу всій землі, і кожен з нас відчує, що це буде Україна інших правил, кордони, ті самі, демократія, напевно, така ж бурхлива свобода, одна з найбільших в Європі, як і завжди, але точно без багатолітнього, як завжди, щодо тих, хто грабував Україну та ставив себе вище, ніж закон та будь-які правила. І я дякую українським правоохоронцям за рішучість довести до справедливого результату кожну зі справ, які десятиліттями гальмувались. Закон повинен працювати. Так є, так буде.
The fight against corruption is a must on Ukraine's path to full membership in the EU and NATO.
We're engaged in assisting the government of Ukraine on anti-corruption efforts and on efforts to ensure accountability and full transparency of all the assistance we're providing, as well as the security of U.S.-provided defense articles and technologies. President Zelensky and I discussed these issues today and the importance to Ukraine's democratic future of continued reforms and the fight against corruption.
I should add that the National Agency on Corruption Prevention has launched a unified whistleblower reporting portal where you can report corruption. Ukraine will bring all corrupt officials to justice. Many more interesting things will follow. Stay with us so that you never fall victim to Kremlin propaganda. Ukraine will win thanks to the support of our Western friends. Have a nice day.